players, yes, they have been around for a while, but they've been scattered. They've just been brought back under this HSL banner for this particular season. One player in particular that also stands out to me is Henningsen. I think he's had a great season so far in his main tank role.
Oh, very, very good. And if you can describe Milky Man as a bit streaky at times, Henningsen's very, very solid, very consistent. They also have Ding, who they've kind of John Wick pulled him out of retirement here, and he hits us just about as many heads as well. Team Gigantti, both teams on the high ground currently, battling it out, trying to get as much percentage as possible. Team Gigantti, they're not running the Zenyatta.
The starting gun is getting ready to be pulled here. As soon as that hits 0, someone's going to make a beeline for their point, and it's Team Gigantti to pull the trigger first. They want the advantageous position. They want HSL Esports to aggress onto them. But now, they're going to take the aggression back to them. Zappis separated from the team a little bit, but he had the barrier. But I know exactly what he was trying to do there. It was to take out Chow and give Team Gigantti this easy first cap.
Now Zappis high charge can just move it on in here, Tridd. It's easy pickings for Team Gigantti to start. I think Davin actually was able to take the high ground and challenge Chow quite effectively. And now he has to switch to the D.Va to try and cancel out Zupe's sleep darts, the Ananays, and also try and defend versus Davin, because he will be his primary target the majority of the time here. Wants to deny as much ultimate charge to that player as possible. We all know how powerful of an ultimate EMP can be.
First ult on the board surely looks like it's going to be Henningsen's Earth Shatter. He's going to have to try and contend with Milky Man, and well, where we can weave that past is a different story. They've not actually got, well, they have actually got a Lucio, sorry, I was going to say they've not got him, but they're going to be able to try and get behind that shield. Henningsen's, well, the Earth Shatter online now, but Team Gigantti is quite separated in comparison to what they usually see. The Nano Boost being thrown over to Milky Man, brings him over, Shatter to the side, only finding Leaf off in the distance. But of course, that Nano Boost was enough for Milky Man to win out the fight. Chow demech and killed. HSL Esports will have to reset, but they have time, Blank.
Excellent ult tracking from Team Gigantti here. Knew that the only ultimate online really was Henningsen's Shatter. You saw Milky Man dart to the side, and I think that's not to expose his backline accidentally. I think it's deliberately knowing that Zappis could have the self-barrier to block the Shatter itself. So big baits all in all. Now EMP is ready and online.
Davin's looking for it, but he's been found out already by Fisher. He went for the stun. The rally's now popped afterwards. He can still pop this EMP, but they're going to use the grab. EMP should seal the deal for them. They've done enough on the map so far. They're going to commit the Shatter afterwards. Sound barrier coming out because it started to flip back a little bit, but I think it's ultimately going to stay under control of Team Gigantti, and we've got into that 90%, so I think, Blank, we're going to see Lighthouse go over to the Finnish roster.
It's the 100 Overwatch here. Today, once again, we saw it from CV yesterday. Team Gigantti looking like they're taking this one fairly easily away from HSL here on Lighthouse.
They're still trying to kick, though. You see Fisher go over to the Doomfist to try and get onto the point, and they're still going to contend it, but the kill feed's looking awfully white right now. I might go for a little bit dip off the side, but they've done enough to start batting away the stall tactics from HSL Esports. Fisher's probably going to try and come back in, but the Doomfist is too far away. Lighthouse going over to Gigantti, and what we mentioned already, that 100-0 fashion.
This is the problem, Tridd, when you allow a Sombra to gain momentum in the early game, because when you don't have that D.Va early, you can't deny the Ananays, you can't deny the sleeps, and you can't take a lot of space easily because you're able to deny that. So Team Gigantti are able to get that early advantage, and then they just swing it in their favor because they have the EMP available alongside a whole other assortment of ultimates. So the Ananade comes in over the top, denies the healing, then HSL Esports are forced to use a sound barrier because the Transcenders isn't doing any work anymore, and already Team Gigantti had found a pick. Here now, we are on to, well, HSL Esports, they're going to be the ones to flick this up a little bit, try and go with a DPS approach.
Going for not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 DPS for HSL. Team Gigantti still keeping with Davin on the Sombra. Zappis goes back to a more familiar D.Va. They put Milky Man onto the Winston. They want something a little bit more mobile to contend with this composition.
But it does mean that there's no real major shield here. But Zupe already finding Chow.
Beautiful couple of headshots onto Chow will take him out. So HSL Esports losing that ground skirmisher that they want to get in the backline and harass Team Gigantti. The double knockback being put onto Milky Man to try and put him down the well, but he's still able to get out of that one. Zappis now being hacked up. The D-Mech so easy for Fisher to pick up off the back end of that. But Zapre with the spray down, the micro pistol, being the one to get that kill.
Leaf, a whip sting out of the game. And already the flips come through here, Tridd. Now it's just a full-on brawl on the point for the current time being.
Fisher's just going to be up in the sky, but there's no ground presence right now because Henningsen's not there to stand and contest. He's trying to get away with it. He's taking out Lilbo. maybe he might be able to move on to, but he's relying on Fisher and the rest of the DPS here to deal the damage and force Leaf back. Barrage used on cooldown by Fisher, make sure Leaf goes back to the spawn room, and now finally HSL can get the flip and start earning map percentage.
They also have point control now, and it's much harder for Afara to take a point because she has to push angles that maybe aren't so favored for her, but now she can hold some favorable angles to her with that defender's positional advantage. HSL Esports in a great place to start getting this point ticking on upwards. Team Gigantti on the other hand, look at Davin. That long fight, but still only 60% on that Sombra. Zuppe needs to find an early pick once again to open up this next fight for Team Gigantti.
Zapper is about to have his EMP online, so he's winning that Sombra race right now, and that seems to be the theme for HSL. Ults across the board in their favor. Yes, they probably charge it a little bit faster. You see Chow goes in, he's stunned, but the pulse bomb still lands on the Leaf and takes him out. Zappe's already used that Transcendence as well. EMP finds everyone after that expires as well. That's big for HSL. Milky Man finds 2, but it's still going to go in favor of HSL.
But they are making HSL work for this fight. They want to get rid of as many ultimates as possible. Dragon Strike also has to be invested. Still, the point has not been flipped.
Primal Rage from Milky Man tries to send Chow flying. He's going back to the cover of his team. This Milky Man came in there. He found 2, and now he's on to another member. I believe it was Ding who had to fly away, but Zapre catches him on the exit. They can now sit on that EMP when anyone tries to come into this next fight. Gigantti have control of the point, but of course the ground presence is there for HSL.
Now, here comes the EMP. It's telegraphed.
And it's going to knock them out of the sky. Fisher's on the ground right now, but they're struggling to get the kill. Lilbo comes in and finds Ascot, so he no longer has his wingman, nor the option of a res. Self-destruct being thrown into the back pocket. Gonna find Ding on the high ground, unable to get away from that one. Fisher dealing with Zappis. He's got 19 HP though, and he's not got that wingman. He has to run away. Ascot gonna be coming back into the fight. The flip will come in for HSL. This is so scrappy, Blank. Kills are being traded back and forth so often.
Cheeky moves from Fisher there is finally ended by Davin, but yeah, right. Very, very messy fight. Flip comes through from HSL. And as long as they can hold on to this and come back with a barrage, there's potential for a very quick fight win.
They're sitting in the rally of Leaf right now. Ding's off to the side with the Storm Arrow, but now he's got himself Zappis in his face and everything's going against him. 80%, so HSL Esports are very close to that final fight territory. They just need to wrestle control away from Team Gigantti. But by the time they do it, I think Gigantti are going to be in a similar position, Blank. So either way, we've only got about 2 more fights left in this.
There's been more back and forth than a metronome here, Tridd. HSL Esports, like you said, there's only a couple more fights left. They have a lot of ultimates to do this with. This time the EMP has to be much more impactful. They cannot allow Team Gigantti to remain on the point for so long. But they've got the correct ultimates to do it, both the defensive ones.
Barrage off the map. Zappis' mouth did not open fast enough, and Lilbo will suffer for it. As he goes in, finds the melee onto it. There's Fisher and Henningsen coming in. Control still in favor of HSL. And they're taking out half of Team Gigantti already. They're in a great position to equalize Ilios and force this out to round number 3.
Yeah, you're completely right, Tridd. I don't think the Team Gigantti are getting back onto this one. Zappis eats the pulse bomb, but it's not enough. HSL Esports 1% away. Overtime is now triggered. Lilbo forced to use the sound barrier.
So desperate to get that out there, but it's the only thing keeping him alive on the point to be able to contest and trigger the overtime. Give an olive branch for Team Gigantti, a life raft in the ocean to pull them back into this one. They will keep contending. Milky Man has found Ding, but he's going to find Henningsen. Zappe as well onto Zapre. As they're moving on to the point and trying to contend this. Black, I think they've done enough to get the flip in. They pull it in the last hour.
Literally incredible moves from Team Gigantti once again, finding a winning fight off the back of one that looked really, really poor for them. HSL Esports, though, coming back to this next one, with 4 ultimates on hand. Zapre has to get this EMP online and quickly whilst members are still alive.
We're looking for a monumental hold here from Team Gigantti, an economic one. They're doing it on the breadline right now. Blank Fish has already found Milky Man with the barrage.
Lives.
Gonna keep himself alive as he moves over, looking for Lilbo now. He's tanking a lot of damage to get there. Gonna be sustained up by his wingman and keep him in the fight. There's the D-Mech coming in. Zappe's been hacked up, so he's not gonna be able to get away with this one. Chow finds Leaf, the main source of healing on the side of HSL Esports. Gonna be able to take him out. They just need to keep walking in as Milky Man will go through. Find Chow, that's unfortunate with the wrecking ball. Finds the second kill! Milky Man again, finding these multiple kills. EMP being committed, turns off the lights, and shuts down the offense from Team Gigantti. We're going to settle it in ruins.
That is the longest well map I have seen in a long, long time, Tridd. That was so backwards and forwards from both teams. And this is exactly what we were predicting, that this is going to be a close as hell series from both these teams. HSL Esports coming off the back of 100-0, showing that they're not out just yet. Team Gigantti coming to ruins here. This is where Sombra can shine a little bit more, because that EMP is going to encompass the majority of the points. So it's going to really be down to HSL Esports and their positioning that's going to win them through here.
Shout out to Darwin, I believe it was Darwin who made that nice little thing in the workshop, which indicated the maximum range of the EMP.
Good lad, him.
If not, well, he still deserves credit anyway. He's been doing a lot of stuff
Just
with the workshop anyway. HSL going to be moving out onto this one. Walking forward underneath the guys, well, not underneath the guys, under the protection or the guardianship of Henningsen as he presses forward to contest against Milky Man, who has been knocked off this high ground, exposing Zappis. He did have the protective barrier, but now it's on cooldown, has to feed it over to his main tank. But look at the charge coming in already. 72 sitting on there. That's start going to burn through HSL if they're not too careful.
Really great sleep from Zuppe actually onto Zappray. If you take a look at his percentage, 13% compared to Zappis' 40. That's all because he was sleeping during the majority of that fight. Hack goes through onto Henningsen now.
That's big though. You can just farm in for charge now, and Henningsen knows it. That's why he's retreating all the way back. HSL have that luxury because they do have point control.
They do indeed. They're putting a lot of stock into making sure that Davin does not get the free reign. Using Fisher's shield bash, and he will come up to a rally very soon. They can pressure this fight.
Milky Man's got the nano boost. He's surely going to follow up with the shatter, but everyone clears out of his radius. It isn't until he gets the fire strike to seal the deal. He's stunned up, very low HP, needs some sustain to come in from his team. Shatter into the shield, tries to go for the counter, but Chow with the micro missiles will seal the deal on the back of his head. And that's HSL keeping control after a few ults being committed by Gigantti.
Team Gigantti will have a very clear win condition, though, coming to the next fight. Have that EMP online. But it cannot be scrappy like it was on Well. They need a definitive fight win. Ding has the ultimate defense to that EMP with the Transcendence here. And Askov, shortly afterwards, he'll have the sound barrier to be able to reinvigorate his team and re-push back into Gigantti.
Looking for a big anti-nade from Zuppe to shut down that healing and potentially force the double support ultimate from HSL. Hack not quite connecting successfully with the Chow. Uses the pillars to obscure it, but it has exposed Darren's position. Graviton surges there. EMP on top of it. Finds everyone apart from Ding, who comes in with the Transcendence, but they've already lost Henningsen to the Fire Strike of Milky Man. Playing with 5v6. No shield to block it out. Then until Brigitte and a protective barrier will stop the Shatter from pursuing behind them. It's Team Gigantti on the point, and they found Zappis, Ding, and they're going to also take out Chow. That's Gigantti getting the flip at 77%. They are keeping it alive, and they've got to have at least a couple more fights in them.
HSL are very, very good here, making Davin work for these fights, making Gigantti work for these fights. See that? They had to invest 4 ultimates off the back of an EMP, which should just be a quick fight win, just because of HSL's staying power on the point. Now HSL, they've got pretty much all the ultimates they need to get a quick retake here. They have grav advantage as well, and only a sound barrier to deny the damage? I don't think it's enough.
Well, there's that grav sound barrier, might have to come in early, and there it is. They're self-destruct on top of it. They boot the shield, but everyone's in cover just in case. There's the nano boost being thrown into Milky Man. He's putting a constant target for this one. HSL Esports pushing forward. Milky's trapped in the corner. It's easy pickings for Ding, who's sat on the back line, throwing his hands, throwing his orbs. The flip definitely coming in for HSL, but they still have room to breathe because Team Gigantti can come back swinging.
Absolutely can. There is one fight remaining here, Tridd. If Gigantti do not flip here, it will be HSL running away with Ilios. But Davin, if we take a look at his percentage, he was doing a lot of work during that fight, able to get up to 77% again, and almost another EMP online, and it has to be big here. Ding, once again though, like I said, throwing these hands and throwing up his ultimate charge up to 100%.
He's used it early! He's had to use it to keep his team in it. They want to win it here and now. Henningsen's found Zappis. That should be big, but Davin, of course, he has the ultimate. Zappe's not in a position to help, so he just had to heal up. The shadow comes down. Davin found Zappray. Only Henningsen and Fisher are still hacked up from that as Chow sweeps in and finds that source of healing on the back line of Team Gigantti. They're going in with just their DPS, just that Leaf Brigitte, and they're contending to stay alive on Ilios.
One of the 2 free giants within this season of Contenders Europe are going up against each other, and the clashing is audible from miles around. Team Gigantti, HSL Esports, 99 to 50%. This defense has to be perfect from Gigantti now, and Zappis, he has the Graviton, but Zappray and Chow are ready to answer with 2 ultimates of their own.
No second chances on this one for Gigantti. They lose this fight, they're going to lose the round. and that first map and give momentum control over the HSL. Graviton online for Zappis, and his other team is playing catch-up, but there's the grab being committed by Zapre. Counter grab comes out, Zappis has already gone down, headshots from Ding, they fire through and return with 2, as the self-destruct will be there to hopefully level it out. Lilbo moving on to the point, Henningsen has got that, sorry, not Henderson, Milky Man had the nano boost committed. HSL, if they're clever about this one, they will get one more contest.
But there's only so much terrain you can hide on as you come onto this point. Davin and Milky Man, they've got the ultimate combo, the EMP shatter. There will be no shield in the way here, Tridd, when that shatter is unleashed.
They can catch him as they try to move to the point, and Team Gigantti can emerge off the back of it. Milky Man's got the shatter to follow up. Everyone's been hacked up, and a huge shatter from Milky. The charge coming in. He wants to burst on the Henningsen, and he's going to find it. The Transcendence from Ding will not save them today. Team Gigantti gonna walk away with Ruins, and they will take Ilios.
Standing up tall here, Tridd. Overtime will tick away. First map goes to Gigantti. And damn, this one's a close one.
Back and forth all the way. There was that 100-0 scoreline on the first round, but I don't think that was reflective of the rest of Ilios, because it was coming down to the wire every single time.
It's all that HSL were willing to gift them was that 100-0. After that, it was so scrappy. They did not let go of that point once, just grasping and clawing their way back in. Excellent play from both teams.
Davin 2.0 with the Sombra in his repertoire, helping Team Gigantti clutch out map number 1. We still have at least 3 more to go, so join us after the break. Welcome back, everyone. We're about to jump into map number 2 real quick. It's, of course, Team Gigantti versus HSL. Gigantti being the team that's leading the series so far after taking a very close Ilios.
They have been popping off in a big way, but HSL clapping back just as much. Thunderclaps from both teams. Now Volskaya. We're going over to the icy map here. This is where we can start to see a little bit more Widowmaker, a little bit more Hanzo, and we both know that both teams play this quite well, especially HSL with Zander and Fischer. We've seen Fischer's Hanzo pretty excellent when he can get off that Brigitte.
They're both pretty terrifying when it comes around to double sniper, truth be told, Blank. So that is something that Team Gigantti will have to be mindful of and see if they can match. I would like to see Gigantti still stick with this Sombra composition, right? Like, you may obviously want to flex it up for Volskaya, but it's something that they're doing quite successfully, and especially if we're looking at the previous 2 weeks, we isolate the first part of the season. It's what they're running to give them a very high success rate.
2 big thumbs up here from the team over here at Contenders, but the big thing for me is really the way that HSL have been able to come back after a lot of these EMPs have come through from Davin, right?
Yeah.
Is that they're forcing Team Gigantti to use a lot more ultimates. If we think back, if we go into the past here, we look at a lot of Team Gigantti's series, that whenever the EMP is usually used by Davin, they find so much value out just that one ultimate, and then they're able to kind of vacuum up the people around who are hacked and get some ultimate charge for themselves. HSL are not making it easy for them, and I think that's the major thing. So Gigantti, obviously, they did manage to steal away with Ilios, but I think they're going to be respecting HSL much, much more coming into Volskaya now. And if that means using a second ultimate after the EMP almost immediately to ensure the fight win, maybe that's what they have to do.
They've typically actually been using it beforehand, Blank. We've been seeing Zappitz throw the grab and then Davin following up with the EMP in a lot of these instances on Ilios. So they're committing that grab before the EMP comes in rather than afterwards.
Yeah, and I think that there have been a few times where that's happened, and then maybe it's been an afterthought for Davin, like, okay, maybe I actually have the EMP here to make sure that we do get the fight win through. But on the other hand, it could be swinging the completely different way, and that could be the set play for them. Team Gigantti, however, I really do like seeing Zuppe on this Ana. He is outstanding on this hero. But HSL Esports, let's take a look at this one. Fischer, once again, he is on that Hanzo. We love to see him on the Hanzo. And Chao so diligently on the Diva, making sure that Zuppe cannot get all the ridiculous value that he usually finds.
Right now, they were obviously looking out for Davin, trying to make sure that he's not getting anything free off the back of this one. Good man going to show us some Reinhardt tech by charging over the gap. The momentum still carries through, and it is slightly elevated, so you will drop down onto the hut.
Nice and easy. One for the ranked games at home, for sure.
Maybe Gladiators tank drills as well. They might show you that one eventually.
Maybe.
Chao and the rest of HSL going to wrap around here and get through that initial choke. And now they're looking to take away the high ground. They run up these stairs and try and displace them off. Milky Man going to just give away the territory. They kind of have to in this instance.
They do. So now both teams are running around with that high ground pressure. Fischer and Zander taking a forward position almost immediately. You look at these supports, they all take cover in Mega. This is the correct thing to do, but Milky Man under a lot of pressure now, Tridd.
It's over, Milky Man. They have the high ground. They're going to be taken out by Fischer. They're just slamming him with the orbs, ding on the back line, doing everything he needs to. HSL walking away with point A.
This is the problem when you face up against HSL, is that you have to be worried about Fischer, you have to be worried about Zander, but you also have to be mega worried about Ding.
The third DPS.
The third DPS on the team, the Dark Horse. He is incredible. 90% towards that Transcendence already. Only a minute 30 has transpired. There's so much time on the clock here. Davin has to get a great defensive EMP to stop this snowball coming into point B for HSL.
I think he's the only thing holding this back right now. If Davin doesn't get a good EMP off here, HSL may be able to momentum play this one as they're getting so close to those ultimates. And Davin sees them all right now. He's the eye in the sky. EMP's going to find 4. Ding can come in with the Transcendence if he needs to. That's exactly what he's going to do. Fischer pops the rally, but he then gets a sleep dart afterwards. We're looking towards Zappy to get the next goal. Milky Man will stem the flow with the Earth Shatter, but he's still got the sustain on the go until Zappy gets him. That's a cancelled ult there for Henningsen. He's not going to find anything as he goes straight into the shield, and then he's blasted down by the rest of Gigantti. So it wasn't necessarily Davin's EMP, but Gigantti will still stabilize.
They will. The EMP did give them valuable time to get that restabilized, like you say in that trade. Really big plays from Zuppe. Great anti-nade onto Fisher there to prevent a lot of the aggression whilst he was in that rally where he wants to get onto that backline, and then another excellent sleep onto Henningsen in the middle of it, which just opened it all up afterwards. Chow needs to start hitting those matrices in the mid-fight where it starts to devolve, because he is hitting them at the beginning of the fight, just not as we move into it. Team Gigantti, another EMP online from Davin. This guy is excellent at getting these online very, very quickly.
If Davin can just keep syncing these up with the HSL offenses, the fight's gone long enough, he can walk away and just keep a perpetual EMP. He doesn't even need to in this instance. The Graviton and the Nano Boost, Sound Barrier may have been overkill there, but 2 ultimates should have just done it for Gigantti.
Interesting Diva Bomb from Chow, and I like that Lilbo does respect it though. You can actually hit the Sound Barrier at a certain time where it will completely cancel out the damage from a bomb, which is why a lot of times you'll see the Sound Barrier briefly appear on your screen and then disappear whilst the bomb's in the air if you time it just right. So all props to Lilbo for trying to get that one off. And I think that's because if they're investing the Diva Bomb, they must think they can win this fight. So I do appreciate Team Gigantti not taking a single chance.
You say that, but Davin was taking a massive chance there by trying to go for that. The immediate target focus from HSL, turning down to 7 HP before the translocator came in. So he was playing a very dicey game. Nothing so dicey about this one. EMP into the shatter! It's so clean from Gigantti, and Milky Man charges through on the victory lap. HSL Esports, 4 minutes left to play with.
Milky Man's hammer is one fearsome thing. HSL are going to be thinking a little bit about that one when they next come into the next point and come up against Milky Man, but they have 2 defensive ultimates, so they will be able to force a long fight here, and with that fight being so quick, no one was able to really charge any ultimates. Look at Davin, only on 60% towards that EMP, so if there's ever been a time for HSL to take last, it is now with a lot of these ultimates online for them to pressure the advantage.
They're out of sync with Davin's EMP. That's the big one they have to get around. They have 2 support ultimates, layered aggressive support ultimates in response to nothing. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. And Leaf, he's going to go and collect on Henningsen with the bounty coming in big. That is disastrous for HSL. Their aggression punished accordingly by Gigantti.
That had to be the fight for HSL. It had to be. But they move in. Ding used the trance early. We saw it on Ilios. It was maybe advised there, but I don't think it was advised here whatsoever. And Askoff immediately follows up with the Sound Barrier. And Leafy's very happy to just come from behind and whip Henningsen down into the icy waters of Volskaya.
2 unforced errors, I would say there, Blank. You didn't need to. I can see the 4 processes coming in with one of those support ultimates to kick off the fight. Knowing you have the ult advantage. Layer in though. Come on, brother. Come on,
son. That's not how this is done, boys. Now Davin, EMP, Milky Man. The hammer of the gods, ready to strike the floor.
Can't strike them from the current position, though. They are on different planes of existence. There's the EMP finding 4. Still going to find them as after they opt into that danger zone. HSL committing to the fight with the Graviton Surge. Ill-advised yet again because they're already on the back foot. They know Henningsen's got that shatter online, but there's so much pressure against him. His HP's too low. He can't drop the shield for a second to get it out.
And it worked for them in Ilios because you're playing on a point where everyone is almost on equal grounds. But here, Team Gigantti, they're playing on last where the advantage is in their favor. They have defenders spawns. They have the defensive positional advantage with the terrain in their favor. HSL, they can't just take these scrappy fights and expect to come out on top. They have to get a definitive one, force out these ultimates. It's just so difficult at the moment with the amount of mistakes that they're continuing to make.
Zappis is looking for that grab. Not giving anything away just yet. Gonna have the Dragon Strike coming through from Chow, looking for the big damage. He'll just find Zappe. Sound Barrier comes up too late to save that secondary support, but they're gonna keep the fight going anyway. He will come back to the point with the Nano Boost. The Transcendence came out from Ding to tip the scales in favor of HSL. But Zappis returns with the kill onto Fisher. The high ground's available for Chow on the hard zone. He's going for the dink on the Lilbo. Can't find the second shot until he nails it. The headshot coming in. Now the points in control of HSL, but they have to fight against the spawns.
Zappis wants to get in here. He's Nano Boost, doing an extreme amount of damage. Out comes the second Dragon Strike of the fight. No one's coming through that choke anymore, Tridd.
Yeah, they actually booped Milky Man to safety in that one, and now he's getting the heals coming in from Zappe, who gets back to the point. He's going to charge across by HSL, and that's the EMP coming in to shut everything down. They're not getting the kills, though. Fisher with the Doomfist. He was outside of the range. He swings in and punches Davin into round 2.
HSL, they will complete. And I think that's all off the back of Chow there. Wonderful play. I really like the interesting usage of the dragons as well. He was like, you grav, but I will dragon your grav. So you cannot walk into it and try and find value that way, because Ding, we need him to hold on to this Transcendence to force the fight once we do hit the point itself. So I really, really like the play from Chow there, and some excellent picks after the fact. Now Team Gigantti, 49 seconds to contend with. It's not a lot of time remaining on the clock, but it does ensure you will get a second attempt should Team Gigantti finish on point B. HSL have to have one hell of a defense here to make this one work, Tridd.
49 seconds, like you said, Blank is enough. Make sure they will not indefinitely end this round for them. They can, of course, make it end for Team Gigantti. They're now going on to the offense, and HSL are coming out with something we've seen a lot of this season. It's some variation, adaptation of what we see a very notable Clockwork Vendetta playing.
A very notable team within Contenders.
Notable.
Don't know if you heard of them, guys.
Not notable. Actually, let me change that word. Notorious.
Yeah, very, very notorious indeed. But here, HSL, I agree with this. This is a decent defense. We saw Toronto Defiant use this to full hold teams before. If it works in Overwatch League, yeah, it can definitely work in Contenders when it was pretty much made here in the bloodbath that is Contenders Europe.
It
right?
was forged in OD. Blank.
It was forged. It's
forged
in
in
OD.
European Open Division and carried forth into
all the way to
this
here.
stage of Path to Pro. Now it's Team Gigantti on the offense, incredibly mobile. Blank. What year is it?
What year is it? Team Gigantti. It looks like they're going to go for that full dive, making sure that they're putting a lot of stock in the Genji, but Zapray will end Milky Man.
We highlighted it at the top of this map. Fisher and Zapray on these snipers are terrifying, and even on the dive option for Team Gigantti, they're unable to get through yet.
It is, but check it out. Team Gigantti, like, they were going with this composition, right, Tridd? But look at the ultimate charge. Barely anything. This ultimate lives, this team composition lives and dies by the dive and the nano blade or nano monkey that comes with it. And if you're just not charging those ultimates, then you are wasting a lot of time here. Whereas HSL, they're coming up towards these ultimates that we've talked about before, like the May Blizzard, which can be used as an extremely good defensive ult, especially against a soft dive.
Davin's already round the back of the team. He went in for the early scout, and HSL knows about that now, so their attention might be divided here. Zapray deals with it handily on the Widowmaker. Fisher getting a lot of attention, but he's still going to sustain throughout. He's got the pocket from Askov to keep him off, and the kills are coming in from HSL. Zapray will feel the fist of Lilbo, as well as Fisher. This sneaky little frog finding both of the snipers on the back line. HSL will have to get them back to the point as fast as they can.
Great little tech there from Askov to actually engage the res and fall down, knowing that if he does just go for the basic res, Lilbo could have actually booted him out of it, and that would have gone on 30-second cooldown, and no one would have been brought back to life there. So very little simple play, but a good one from Askov to ensure that he does bring his teammate back.
Easy play there from Ding to get the DMEC onto Zappis. It's a very muted play. Looking for something a little bit more explosive by potentially taking Milky Man, but he has to commit the jump pack to get out and back to the safety of his team. Chow dealing with Davin again. He's not having a great round on this Tracer Blank, and I think we're getting to the position here where if this first ult rotation doesn't work out for them, they have to look at changing.
1 minute 56, Tridd. The only ultimate that has been accrued this entire time is Zuppe with the Ana. And Davin Tracer, you expect to see a pulse bomb within the first minute, is one of the fastest charging ultimates in the game. The fact that it's not online yet, and Lilbo is further onto his soundbar is incredible.
You mentioned it, Blank, already. They will live and die by the Nano Blade or the Nano Monkey. They're going to commit it into when Milky Man. No, they're not. They've given it over.
Who got it?
I don't even know who
it's
got
Lilbo.
that one.
Lilbo took it.
Boosty
No!
coming in. That was so important for Team Gigantti to get right. If that was the intention, that's some 200 IQ underwater backgammon, but now Leaf goes in with the blade. Davin's already got the pulse bomb onto Zapray. He's going to go up to the sky. He finds no one but Fisher. He's got everyone on GPS right now. He knows exactly where he is, finding 2 kills. They're going to try and turn it back around. HSL are still on the point, and the DMEC Zap is easy picking the things. The hook of the Lilbo as well. One more. If he finds Davin, he's going to seal the deal, but he will go down to the spray damage. Finally, Gigantti have a strong foothold on the point, and they should be able to get away with taking point A.
Zapray does live, though, and the hack comes through onto Leaf. Can they get the recontest? I do not think so.
He opted in to the dive.
He did indeed. And not the dive that everyone's thinking of, straight down into the water. Taking a bit of the drink right there. Davin and Leaf, really, really good plays towards the end there, making sure that they were able to clean that point A out. But look at point B. This push is going to be magnificent from this team. We're talking about how they had no ultimates before, but look, they're all online now.
HSL Esports also changing it up, so they're not going to have ults to play with. The Primal Rage, he comes in swinging. He's hacked up Milky Man, so he won't be able to jump, but he can still throw those hounds. The sound barrier came in for Lilbo as well. Henningsen going to go down. He's staying alive a lot longer than he should have done there with the bio grenade on top. But Lee's going to cut through. He's hooked up out of the nano blade, but he will get back free and start swinging the sword. The slash comes in, but the translocate will pull Zapre to safety. The EMP keeps everyone on the floor, but Gigantti is still finding the kills.
Zapre does have an EMP, unleashes it now. Fisher will be coming back, and the overwhelming sustain that Brigitte can bring to the table might keep them in this one.
Milky Man can only last for so long on the Wrecking Ball. Will go down to things damaged. They're trying to scramble all these mobile heroes onto the point to keep the contest going. HSL, they've only allowed just over 33% to be taken, so they still have room to play with. They're going to be able to shut down Gigantti, and they're going to be able to keep alive on Volskaya for now.
Team Gigantti, they leant back, they pitched, they threw every ultimate at HSL, but nothing stuck there. HSL caught it perfectly. Now they have ultimates of their own on board. Fisher goes over to that signature Hanzo pick, and Chow. He's posing as engineer right here. He is on the engineer himself. The Torbjorn will have the Molten Core to deny a lot of space as Team Gigantti move in.
He's going to pop that right now as he presses it. Tries to cut off the paths of movement for Team Gigantti. Everyone's going to take cover for now. Will not fall victim to the heat of the Molten Core. So that's one ultimate down. They just have the Valkyrie to rely on. Team Gigantti will get that nano boost online to accelerate the fight for one of their members.
Yeah, they are moving in now, Team Gigantti. There will be a nano as well unleashed onto Milky Man straight into the back line.
Chow, your hammer is not as strong as Reinhardt when he comes in, especially with the nano boost. 2 kills so far. They take out Henningsen and Chow. Henningsen will get back to point with that supercharger if he's fast, but the progress is still accruing for Team Gigantti. They're still far away from that next ultimate, as the Valkyrie will sustain as many people as it can. Askoff using the Guardian Angel to get to safety. The power driver comes in for Henningsen, but he's charged off the point, and now Zappos is hacked up, but he's still got enough charge to be able to contest the point. Gonna punch Chow to the ground. He doesn't need his abilities to do that one, and Team Gigantti will force us to another round of Volskaya.
That was pretty brutal from Zappos, just slapping Chow out of the game.
Yeah.
But what started off as a pretty bad push on point A, let's be honest, turned into a fairly decent one come point B. I think they used their ultimates smartly. And one thing that I have to talk about was Chow's use of that Molten Core. Now, if we take a look at how Clockwork Vendetta used that Molten Core, I think they use it very, very smartly. They tend to use it once a team has committed like ultimates which indicate an engage, such as a rally, and they just force them to stand still, right? No one had used an ultimate there, so Gigantti just like, well, we'll walk back and wait for all this liquid to leave.
Yeah, it was a bit premature.
It was a bit premature indeed, so it looks like that's something that HSL are suffering from at the moment. Team Gigantti, on the other hand, they're ready to go again on the defense. They can have those defensive EMPs available. The Nano, which has proved so useful before, not on the Lucio, will be there again.
Not on the Lucio, please. Not again. Not again. That was the most shocking thing about that. Even though they opened it up with the
Lobo's like, let's go!
They opened it up on the booster. They still ended up winning out point A. And that was like, we were like, they have to get this right. Apparently they didn't. The stars just aligned for the Gigantti. They're now on the defense. They've got over double the time bank of HSL. It's looking good for them to walk away with series point at the end of the first half.
Lobo just gave them the Giga healing in that situation. But now, HSL, they're moving in. They're basically playing the classic free that we have seen so often. Team Gigantti once again taking control of that high ground. Again, one thing I am looking for here, Tridd, is how Chow denies Zupe in the middle of the fights where things start to get a little bit more hectic. Already, that high ground is taken once again.
This is exactly the same play they had last time. They want to go and take over the hut now. Fisher leads the charge. There is also a charge coming in for Henningsen to get them across. And he's going to sit comfortably at the back here. No one's challenging him right now. He's looking for that shield break and the Orb Discord onto Milky Man, who has to retreat into Mega with the rest of his team. And now the rest of HSL, they can take control of the point and play around the terrain, causing Gigantti to attack them.
Yeah, Gigantti needs to take the high ground. Davin has to build up this EMP fast. Milky Man drops down. There is no projected barrier anymore, Tridd.
No one's focusing Zappe right now. They don't need to. Milky Man, the LOS was cut off. They forced him into the back of point A. Zappis and the rest of Gigantti will go down. It may be done in overtime, but point A is going to be captured by HSL.
It was a super early projected barrier there onto Milky Man that made Gigantti suffer the defeat there to HSL. HSL coming to this next fight. They will have to contend with the EMP, and it'll be up to Ding to keep them alive. Can Chow stay out of EMP range to make sure he has that matrix available when Zuppe inevitably will toss out the nade, that high ordnance onto HSL's backline?
Big game of cat and mouse coming in on HSL. They're about to trigger that overtime. The 30 seconds they gain by getting point A has expired. Davin moves into position. The EMP's coming in, and it's going to cut on top of that Transcendence. It's already out. The Bionade landed onto 2, will cause a demate, but Henningsen will stay up. There's the Shatter, only going to find 1. Zapre then throws in the Graviton Surge on the rest of them. Sound Barrier coming in from Lilbo. Will sustain throughout them as Milky Man then throws down the hammer on top. Charges against them. HSL Esports offense has been shut down. They're going to have to do it on the D.
I think that if Chow had just waited in the side room for a second longer, he would not have been hit by the EMP, able to unleash the Matrix afterwards. And I think it was that Nana grenade that basically ended the push there for them. Alongside that, there was also a really cool microplay in the middle of it from Leaf there. Actually bashed the charge coming out from Henningsen and laid him on his back, which basically made the Shatter extremely free for Milky Man forthwith. So HSL, they do take point A, which means there is a very viable win condition here, and pretty much only 2 and maybe 3 fights if they can really squeeze it in. Gigantti will have potentially a chance to win here on Volskaya.
I'm very happy that Gigantti opted to not go for the dive we saw on their first attempt. It looks like they will run out with something that's more familiar in this year of Overwatch, not even this season, right? I really want them to run out on this one because, like I said, if they played that dive the same way they did last time, where they took so long to get those ults online, and then the stars didn't align, they boosted the Ode, for example, and they didn't win point A, they would have had all that build-up for nothing. I like the comfort picks coming in here. They're moving back onto familiar territory.
It's funny that this has become familiar territory, though, right? Teams are getting extremely good at it. And it looks like they are pretty much playing mirror compositions here, other than Lilbo will just be on the Lucio to speed them out spawn before he switches over to the Mercy. So mirror compositions, it really depends who has more practice, who understands this composition more. And HSL actually were the only team to beat out CV earlier. So I think they've got a great understanding of this comp.
Ding Henningsen or Milky Man Zuppe, who's got the better pulled port combo coming in. We're going to put some pressure onto the shield. They're hiding around on the high ground, and it's very slow so far for Gigantti as they press through that first initial choke. They now have to worry about rotating onto the points.
Milky Man, extremely low already, getting a lot of pressure. HSL have backed it all the way up towards Mega. Look at Team Gigantti, they're taking so much pressure.
Chow, he's so familiar. Windstrike, CIS Hope, these are teams that are prolific for using the Mei. He's so comfortable with it. He's able to out-duel Zappis from afar. Lilbo not yet gone in for the resurrection, so Zappis will walk back from the spawn room instead. It puts Team Gigantti on ice for now.
Zapre was almost about to be given a ventilation hole there from Davin from across the way, but now HSL, they're going to come up on that Maybelline, and like you said, Chow's so good on these quirky heroes. It's almost definitive to put him on this hero for this composition.
Valk's being traded out as they look to ingress onto the point. Fisher's found Leaf, though. You're missing your Hanzo. The res is easy. They don't have to worry about the shield coming to protect it. Although they will commit it, they have the terrain to back them up. HSL off to the side. Zapre goes up, immediately receives an arrow, and goes back down. He doesn't want to rear his head again. Wall will block off his sightlines as he moves around to the side. The Blizzard's in play as Fisher looks to contend. The Fortify from Milky Man won't protect him from the headshot damage. Henningsen will then give a rain of bullets into the brain of Zappis. And at least 40 seconds on the clock for Gigantti. And it's looking pretty dire for them.
And also enough time for Ding to come back. We ought to bear in mind that that fight was won even though Ding was down. Is that safe for Rez? Do they even have Rez available to bring Chow back?
Don't need to.
They don't. They put him on the tracer. He's great for skirmishing versus the backline of Gigantti. And Fisher will have a Dragon Strike to deny a lot of this.
Easy!
He gets the shot that will put the Rez on cooldown. So there's no mid-fight Rez here, as opposed to Askoff, who definitely will have his own.
If they're going to Rez, they have to do it in overtime. Zuppe finds Ding again. He comes back to the point just to be sent back to the spawn room. He might join him in point B. The whole hog forcing back members of HSL. The infra site's online for them, so they cannot be caught off guard if they keep their heads on a swivel. Henningsen taking out Zappis as they walk forward, trying to deal with this supercharger from Milky Man, but the sightlines are so free for Zapri to deal with it. The whole hog from Ding as he gets back to the point, seals the deal, and gets rid of that pesky Orisa as well as the supercharger. HSL Esports now rolling around the point. They have to contend with the last-minute rush from Gigantti.
This might be it for Gigantti here. Leaf desperately trying to touch the point. The stick comes through. The breather will save him for the time being.
And the fireworks are coming out. HSL have done enough. They're going to tie up the series at the half.
Nice little bow there for us. HSL Gigantti, 1-1. It's a close game, and it's looking even closer here on Volskaya. And it looked like it was, as we said, HSL have the greater understanding of that composition. Even when they did lose a member, they knew exactly how they had to play without that member. And I think that's something that we didn't see from Gigantti do very well. They lost a member, then were like unsure, how do we play this comp now without an integral piece? They're used to playing it 6v6. And I think that HSL just had a good understanding of where they actually had to put their efforts to make sure they won those fights.
Taking it all the way back to the first map, Ilios, we've got some highlights coming in for you at the halftime. Zappis and the rest of the boys on Gigantti took away this map, and it was very close after we got past that first round. And it was different compositions clashing. They barely ever mirrored on Ilios.
No, and that's the really interesting thing, right, Tridd, is that we were discussing about this, is that the cohesion coming out from Gigantti, right? They've been together for so long, they're able to just switch up these compositions at a moment's notice, make the call, and someone will respond, which is very nice. And considering HSL is such a new roster that's been built, like, it's crazy to see how coordinated this team is, even in week 5, right?
They definitely appear deserving of the standings position they have right now. I think Gigantti is definitely the toughest challenge they've gone against so far this season. And I'm starting to believe that HSL may be the same.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. You could definitely swing the other way, and HSL is the toughest opponent that Gigantti are having to face right now. And I think it absolutely shows. I think there are a lot of fights that Gigantti have won. There's the excellent boot. I think there's a lot of series that Gigantti has won where it seemed very easy for them, especially with this new playstyle they have with Davin on the Sombra. A lot of teams just crumbling underneath the weight of those EMP rotations. HSL, on the other hand, looking very composed, and that's exactly what you need when you play against a team that takes advantage of using EMP and hacks.
Do we apply the clockwork comp logic to this one and go, well, we talked about how it's only recently in the past 2 weeks that Gigantti have turned around and used this Davin Zappis flex. It's almost like it's almost like when you change the position of a rook and a knight on a chessboard, basically. Yeah. It's kind of like that for them. When they go ahead and do that, it's only been recently, and that may have caught teams off guard that they were implementing Sombra. Obviously, these teams are scrimming, but they're not necessarily doing the same things in officials. Now there's actually evidence for them to look at how Gigantti are playing this. So how much of that first 2 weeks of them playing this comp was necessarily surprise factor?
That's the interesting question, right? It's something we have to ponder on for a little bit longer whilst we see more of these teams going forward. But HSL so far looking damn good. Can Gigantti bring it back in map 3?